This is the Team Objection Podcast for February 6, 2024, episode 609. Everyone is here, but we have a little bit different look. Primarily because Cody is here, but he's not here where Sean and I are because, well, I can peek out the window right now and it's a mess out there. It's heavy, wet snow, and we're supposed to get 6 to 10 more inches than we already have just in the next, 8 hours.
I'm fucking alone.
Is it possible to see? Can you give us a view of what that looks like out there?
Let's just tap into the weather cam, Dave.
I can point you at the window, but you're not going to see anything. You're just going to see
I can do it.
Darkness.
I have a slider door if you want me to walk outside really quick.
Look at man Cody on the scene. Let's see it.
Yeah, this tree is much more mobile than my setup is.
Whoa, we're getting really dizzy here. This is great. I love this. Okay, here we go. There is a lot of snow out there, people. Wow.
And it's going to get so much worse tonight.
Oh, man. I can see why Cody did not drive to your house today.
I actually think that's an example of a decently plowed neighborhood, too. Your neighborhood looks better than our neighborhood.
Oh, boy.
The guy did just come through and just plowed the roads right before I went outside right now.
Oh, so
he was there
2
over.
minutes ago. What you're saying is you could have come over.
Well, I could have, but then if it started snowing anytime in the next hour, I would have slept there and lived there then. Yeah. And they don't want to live with me.
Which would have been so fun. Didn't you love having sleepovers and stuff? I still, even today, if there's somebody gets stuck, I'm like, this is fun. I like this.
It's kind of funny. It's just, we'll just go straight into our personal lives here. Every time I visit up there in Flagstaff, it's like a weekend long sleepover. It's great.
Yeah. And I like that. That's why I try to do it more often. And you're like, no, I'm busy and stuff. So
it's true. I do hate you. That's the bigger thing.
Well, there's also that issue, but sometimes we can get over that, but then you're busy. But
see, what overcomes it is Maisie, because everyone loves Maisie.
Maisie's cool.
Maisie says he would get stuck in our neighborhood. She's referencing the fact that we've seen 3 different vehicles just spinning in place out in front of our house.
I've never seen it. Not even once.
And Sean wanted me to just drive right over.
Yeah, I've never seen someone get stuck in our neighborhood permanently. Maisie used to get stuck all the time, but we'd figure it out. 3 cars and one of them towed.
Wow. I did dig Maisie out of a snowbank one time. So that was fun.
I think we all have. I think that's the thing we all have in common. But we considered going out and helping them, but it was a problem because they were down the street and they would make it all the way up the street. And then 5 minutes later, we'd see them back because they'd get stuck and they'd reverse all the way. So it's it's not like they're just stuck in a bank and you can dig them out and they'll be fine. They just could not get out of the neighborhood. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't have a truck.
No, we have electric cars now. They're worthless basically in this situation.
We are supposed to let them suffer is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Which, I on the one hand, it's if somebody was looking like they were in dire straits, that'd be a different story. But they're just spinning their wheels, and it's the National Weather Service and ADOT were both pretty clear. Tonight, don't go out. Just don't. And I don't think it was an emergency because I didn't see people getting out of the car going, oh my God, my pregnant wife is in here. Oh no, what do I do? So just go turn around and go back home because you're not supposed to be out in this anyways.
Wow.
All right.
Cody is very brave to show us his house. He could get doxxed. His dildo could have been out. It gets canceled. There's a lot of risk, and he did it for us.
Really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was a commitment to the bit, is what we'd say that we had here.
Exactly.
There we go.
If anyone can figure out what my address is, anyway.
Yeah, they're just GeoGuessr kind of. They're gonna locate you somehow, and then they're gonna zoom in on it, and then they can't get to your house tonight anyway, so you should be safe for a while.
Yeah,
I think what we figured out is that
anyone's address online.
Yeah, you can find
address online anyway.
I don't really want to encourage people, but yeah, you sure can. You sure absolutely can.
Except my name, because there's 10 million of us in the world.
Be tougher.
It's great.
Yeah, but they know your kids' names.
Yeah.
So that narrows it down.
It does.
Which I won't say now because if you're real weird, we just gave you a bunch of information, so I'm gonna back off a little bit.
Yeah, and if you're real weird, look, there's no stopping you anyways. Let's be honest. If you really wanted to do something, but don't, if you would be so kind.
Look, I've heard a phrase before. Once you put it out into the world, it's no longer yours. We have put our faces and opinions and everything out into the world. It's no longer ours. That's fine.
Speaking
my
of
cell
opinions,
phone number
Dave,
has been on the internet for years. So anyone can know my cell phone.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Cody just ruined my segue. It's such a good segue. Chris has been so
proud.
proud.
Do it now.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
I can't do it now. It's too late. What I was going to say was, speaking of opinions, see, now it sounds forced. But I realized that we used to do a lot of this, like, I have a hot take and we have a hate round, and we've had so much programmed shows lately, which has been great, and I've loved all of them, but it's been a while since we've done that. So I thought it would be fun to do kind of like a hate list, bring it back. But then I thought, we're all old now, and I think we're above just doing a hate list. So I also want to mix in like things we're grateful for, which I can feel Cody like rolling his eyes at that, but I think it's nice to do too. So we're going to balance it out. We don't want anyone coming away from the show too negative. We're going to get some things off our chest, but then also kind of put out into the world some positivity.
There's the positive is you can find new people to hate with new reasons why to hate them. That's a positive.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there you go. Well,
very roundabout way of getting there, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're being retrospective. We're trying to work on rebranding. We mentioned that a couple episodes ago, so it's not like it's some kind of secret. Not going to talk about the particulars just yet, but in doing so, you sort of look back at where we've been. And one of the things I thought recently was that Dave and I are both approaching 40.
Not me though.
I'm not yet 39, but I'm close. And when he turns 40, he'll have been on the show in his 20s and 30s and 40s.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when you think about it that way.
I mean, this is like the old stat where like Gordie Howe played in 6 decades or something like that, which is like, that's kind of a stretch, but also what the fuck?
Yeah, or even more modern take, like they just had something on the broadcast the other day where they said that like LeBron has played with more than a quarter of the players in NBA history.
35% is what I saw.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, he's been around a long time for real.
Holy crap.
Shit,
Yeah, and that's just going to keep happening to us as we keep getting older. So that's the best part. Is it's just going to be more and more of those on a daily basis until we end it all.
They look at the first one who has been in the show the entirety of his 30s. Now, it's going to happen to all of us probably, unless I guess I have a couple of years for the show to explode. But
I have the asterisk, I guess, is the fact of I did miss some time with 3 children. So 3 of them.
I was going to remind you of the asterisk, actually. So
it's fine. I beat you to it. I B-rabbited you.
You did. You B-rabbited? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say 8 Mile, but B-rab is pretty good too.
All right, I'll take it.
That's great. That's great.
So, as Sean mentioned, it is kind of a take on an old classic. That's what I'm putting the title up here for the YouTube folks, just because the main thing I think of is the hate round. And the problem with the hate round, well, it's twofold. There's a few different problems with it. One of them was that, especially in the early going, and we're talking like the radio show that preceded this podcast, it was really just like say a thing, and then you didn't even elaborate on it. You didn't say anything about why. So it was just some of the same, like we hated the ShamWow guy. Did we talk about why or how? No, just said it and moved on. It was really god-awful content.
Well,
so now our takes have evolved. We don't have to just say a thing that we hate and move on. We're not trying to lightning round this anymore. It's really about, here's a thing that gets under our skin and why, and then here's something that I want to make it be uplifting and why. We're not just going to say kittens.
When it's at its best, it provides some kind of insight. There was a while when we were like, man, I hate Nazis. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, probably all of us do.
Is that really a hot take? It's not really a hot take.
It wasn't a hot take. It was so not hot to the point of you. The problem was we were saying things that did not need to be said. Man, I hate traffic. Yeah, that's the everyone, man, in the whole world. So
I can start us out with an anecdote if that works for you. Now, you'll probably rip on of course everyone hates this, but I have a story to go along with it, so everyone maybe can relate in this.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'll make it quick. Don't worry. The story starts with trying to give my children a bath, and there's no hot water in the house. This sucks. Go out, find out the hot water's leaked all over the water heater has leaked all over the garage. Great, cool. Call a person out to recover it and try to fix it. And they're come in and like, oh yeah, there's water damages. There's nothing you could have done, so you can go through your insurance and they'll take care of it for you. Great, okay, that works. Yep, I'll work with your insurance. I'll make sure that everything gets taken care of. You won't have to do a thing. Cool, great, sounds good. Company called Water Fighters does all the repairs. It actually does a great job. Everything's fixed perfectly. Guy says, okay, I'm going to need you to pay me now, and then we'll take care of it. I'm like, well, I thought that you were going to go through insurance. Oh, no, you just pay us, and then your insurance will reimburse you. No matter what we charge you, they have to reimburse you. I don't think that's how that works. But okay, I'm still going to talk to my insurance first, and then just make sure we're all on the same page, and then I'll pay you. Don't worry, and then I'll get my reimbursement. No, you need to pay us right now, or I'm going to put a lien on your house tomorrow if you don't pay us right now.
Nice.
Well, that's not how things work, sir. So I'm not going to pay you. Go fuck yourself. And
I like that this guy from the water company was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be taking your house." Like, you can't do that.
He's gonna own your house now.
There is apparently something called
takes the claim.
There's something that's like called a mechanics lien, where like technically you can have interest that gains on it over time if you don't pay some like repair to a house, and that when the house is sold, they have a claim on that amount of money when the house is sold. And it's like, okay, well that's fine, but you can't just do that in a day. I looked it up. There's a 20-day like in writing notice that has to do that. You have to have completely not made payments and refuse to make any payments whatsoever and had no negotiation. It's like he completely was just trying to scam me. So what ends up happening is that the insurance was going to pay about $5,000 to fix everything. He was trying to charge me $10,000. I'm like, cool, that's double. Go fuck yourself,
dude.
So yeah,
you gotta. Dave was like, "Do you know who I am?"
I did. I will find you.
Do you know that I have a podcast?
Do you know what I could do to you? Do you know the power?
But really, it's just the guy. Like so it's just the story of how much, like, how ridiculous that was, and how much that guy. Like, I was infuriated, and you guys know me. I don't get angry easily. I was like shaking. I was so mad at this guy. The way how rude he was being, how much he was trying to be forceful and like threaten me. I'm like, you are an awful person after you promised me the world.
Well, Dave, it is a first world problem, but it's okay. It was a good story. And I get it. It doesn't mean that it's not annoying. You have a Tesla now, and so you're also in ripe territory for some bad Tesla stories, too. I've heard some nightmares about that, like parking garages. The guy from Always Sunny, his Tesla got stuck in a parking garage, and like they could not, like the key wasn't responding to the car, and like nothing was working because Tesla, it was a whole thing.
Okay, that's weird that you brought that up, because nothing like that has ever happened.
Oh, I know, but it will happen.
Okay. To you, he's wishing it upon you though.
Yeah.
Now.
What you got to get, Dave, and maybe it's harder in Phoenix. I have a repair guy that we're just like buds. He like invites me snowmobiling. He's great. He always like undercharges me, which I'm kind of like, you don't have to do like and then I pay him like more because I'm like, you do great work. Like you don't have to give me like the friend discount. Like I value your work and I trust him a lot. He's great. You got to get this guy.
How many liens has he put on your car though?
He's never threatened to put a lien
untold amounts
on my car or my house or anything.
And Maisie, that's not how it works. Maisie's comment of like, if you don't have Wi-Fi, your Tesla stuff might not work. That's not true. It's through Bluetooth, so it doesn't really matter if your phone has power. You're good to go.
Listen to the story, Dave, because it was like it was like a thing. He like had to get on with Tesla support, and they were like, "We don't know what to do." And he's like, "What the fuck do you mean you don't know what to do?" I've spent how much money on this car? I can't get out of the garage. It was a thing. It was a weird circumstance, I remember, but it was a thing.
Cool. I guess it goes to show you that, you know, a lot of times we hear stories, especially about elderly folks falling for scams, and the truth is aggression and seeming to know what you're talking about goes a long way. Because you knew better, but that's clearly worked on people before because they feel pressured, they feel like they're uncertain or whatever. So it's like, man, I'm glad you're talking about that, not because like, oh my God, like you said, it's not this big revelation of hot water heater broke bad, but like, in general, I think it'd be good for our listeners to realize that there's a lot of scams out there, and while you laugh them off now, they're getting more and more sophisticated as time goes on.
Man, my guy's great, though. He does everything. He's hangs up stuff on the wall, fixes the leak in the house, builds shelving. Like, he's just the best.
Okay, I just want to point out for long-time, really astute listeners of this show, there was something back in the day that we would call Daving it, or it'd be a Davism, where someone would say something that's really bad, and then I think I probably did it once. It was like, oh yeah, well, I haven't experienced that at all. My life is great. Fuck you. And that's what Sean has been doing this entire time. So
I don't think it's astute. My only argument is I don't think they need to be astute listeners. I think have you heard the show before? Yeah, then you know.
So Daving it was the original humble brag, basically. Is that what
it wasn't meant to be?
I want to point out to astute longtime listeners that Sean made fun of Dave as being the guy with money for all these years, and now he's flashing the fact that he's got a repairman on his cell phone on speed dial who can come and do every little bit around the house.
No. Because what I said was like, my guy undercharges all the time, so he's great. If I had Dave's situation where they were coming over and trying to charge me double, that would be another story. I would not snowmobile with that person.
I don't plan on hanging out with this guy. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, that friendship I think is over. So
I thought we had a shot, but no.
I'm going to take it in a very different direction because, and I know Cody cares about this. I liked your story, Dave. We got a lot of good content from it. Kill the Justice League. I really wanted to give it a chance, and it sounds like it's absolute just trash. And what I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to send this out here, was the story. Dave, if you don't know, you're like, oh, cool. They're in some kind of situation where the Suicide Squad, the Justice League is like, they're like doing an injustice storyline, and they are realizing like, in order to stop crime, like we gotta kind of be like tyrants, and like they've made a decision. Turns out, no, the whole story is just Brainiac brainwashes the heroes. And you're like, okay, so maybe like the Justice League like finds a way to like save them, like break their brain. No, they're just killing them. So they're just unceremoniously, might I add, killing Justice League when they're not even in control of anything that they're doing. And so if I had to boil this down, this is actually an old bit too, where I have 45-minute hate list. But I would say brainwashing and storytelling, I'm struggling to find the last time I was like, oh, that was a really good use of brainwashing. And not just characters making decisions.
I agree. It's just such a cop-out, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Brainwashed.
So you didn't appreciate that in the first Avengers movie when Hawkeye's brainwashed the entire time?
I didn't like that in that one. I didn't. No, I didn't. I thought that was actually bad, especially because he was brainwashed like the whole. And so like his character, he's all excited for the team up, and then he's just out. And Jeremy Renner was like, "Yeah, that was kind of a bummer." It was kind of cool when they brainwashed the Hulk in the second one, but that was like for like 5 minutes, and then they broke it. This is, we brainwashed the Justice League, and now Harley Quinn gets to preach at Bruce Wayne and then shoot him on a park bench in the middle of the day and kill him.
I don't know. It sounds like Amanda Waller's typical MO though. Just fucking kills shit. Like, I don't know. Every time I see this fucking character in different versions, that's pretty much the answer.
Yeah, but the tone is also really off, I guess. At one point, Lois Lane eulogizes Batman, which is weird that she's doing that and not Superman. So it's like very heavy and serious. And then you kill the Flash, and Captain Boomerang just like pisses on him. His dead body.
He pisses on his ashes, basically?
Or his body. I think you just shoot, because this game is not unique, and all of the characters, they're just homogenized. They all just shoot guns, right? So you just shoot all the heroes, and then in this case, you pee on them.
Well, I believe that 2 of the characters have small guns, and then 2 of the other characters have big guns. So there's 2 different kinds of guns.
I think all the characters can wield pretty much all the guns, actually, is what I've heard.
I thought I read a thing saying that there's some that are more close up and some are I don't know. Also, that means I get to kill Superman, which seems perfectly fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but it's a Superman who is just brainwashed, and so he's not even in control. So if this was Injustice Superman, who's like decides that he is now the new law, that's a very different thing than he's not even in control. And you're like, okay, then he's just dead. And then you as the player are supposed to celebrate this. And you're like, no, not really. It doesn't. It just, the brainwashing just complicates things. That's what I'm getting at. You know?
It simplifies it to me. It's just a really easy reason to kill Superman. And I'm like, you didn't have to give me one. I would have just done it anyway.
It feels like this is a game that I've heard so much hate on that it's almost popular because of the hate on it, which is kind of nuts.
You would say that, yeah. Except it's selling like really not very good so far.
Well,
and I think its peak Steam numbers are half of what the Avengers, which is another bad live service game, and that did not do well. This is not even reaching those numbers, and like rightfully so. Like it's just cash grab, terrible story. Cody is still trying to defend it. I think
I'm not.
Oh
no! I watched some of the.
You've been arguing, is why I was confused.
It looks terrible. No, I was just playing devil's advocate about killing Superman.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else?
I should have been used to. Yeah.
No, I watched some clips of it. It looks terrible. It does not look good either. Like the visuals of it don't look that great, in my opinion.
I've heard the face visuals are really good. Like the technology they're using to capture like facial expressions is great, but like a lot of the visuals seem like watered down a little bit. The lighting, even compared to the last Arkham game, it was much better than than it is now.
That's what I just saw earlier today.
Yeah, but I mean, and again, like in a game where you're playing DC characters, so you're probably somewhat invested in the DC universe, and you're killing DC heroes. For like not a good, it would almost be like if you were like villains, I could buy this more. Like it's just a game where you're the Joker and you're just killing people. Like fine, okay, that's like his thing.
I do feel like the majority of the people who would get this game are probably Batman fans because like a bunch of them are going to be Arkham series fans.
Yeah.
So maybe a bunch of them like me hate Superman. So you're like cool with killing him, but then like you like I don't want to kill Batman though. That makes me sad.
You shoot Batman in the face.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound like fun.
Well, you're gonna if you play the game, unless you stop at that moment when you shoot Batman in the face.
That might be the end moment.
And she's like, Harley Quinn's like, you've been so mean to me, Bats. And you're like, am I supposed to feel bad for Harley Quinn? Like especially in this Arkham universe, she's a fucking idiot. All 3 games.
Yeah.
You've had good renditions of Harley Quinn. Arkham is not really one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Margot Robbie version of her where you're like, oh, I could kind of find some sympathy in these movies. It's like the version that's been really annoying to you over and over again for like 5 games.
Yep. So I was like, I'm going to play it eventually because I liked the Arkham games. I want to see like the next story. Dave, you'll hate this. You will hate this more than everything I've said. It is a live service game. At the conclusion of season 1, which is like or season 0, however they want to describe this one, you kill Brainiac or you defeat him. You discover that there are 12 total Brainiacs, so I guess 11 others out in the multiverse, right? So
Good,
now
multiverse.
in season,
everyone loves them.
Yeah, in season 2, you're gonna be, I suspect, fighting through the same Justice League. But like in a different universe, so probably like different flavors to the area, different like little gimmicks, but like the same idea. You're gonna kill
a new
that
color palette.
Yeah, kind of. And you're gonna do that 12 times because of the live service. So you got to keep buying the seasons, buying the skins, buying the new guns, and then probably at the very end, there's gonna be some kind of time loophole or something where they're gonna undo everything. Maybe not, but. Who's going to stick around that long is my question.
Yeah, I was going to say it's bold of them to assume they're going to get 12 cracks at that because they're going to get maybe 2 at most.
Exactly.
All you had to do to have me turn on that game was say like those couple sentences. I'm like, I don't want. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
that's unbelievably stupid.
And I'm less concerned about the time because I don't care if you tell a story good. I don't mind those tropes, but the idea that you have to play the same story multiple times, and even worse, you don't even really get the conclusion. Shadow of Mordor. I hated this because you beat the game, and they're like, if you want the real conclusion, we're gonna make the epilogue so fucking hard you will not be able to see it unless you purchase DLC, purchase add-ons. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm never seeing the real ending. And Dave, I love all the Dark Souls games. I will grind the shit out of it, but not like when I feel like I'm being preyed on.
And it's so easy to, if you really want to see it, and just maybe you don't get to experience it, but if you want to see it, go YouTube it, and you can see it quite easily.
Yep. If the game's not fun, that's your best alternative.
Exactly. If you care about what you want to see, like if I want to see multiple endings to a game, I'm like, well, I'm not going to beat this entire game again because I don't want to spend the time doing it, but I'd like to see this part. Okay, boom, YouTube, done. That took 5 minutes. Good.
Yep. All right, Cody, you said you had a really boring wrestling hate that you wanted to bring up.
See, it's not entirely wrestling related. It's just only now triggered because I've had these feelings for quite a long time. And now there's just a new good reason to point it out. And a very easy transition is more terrible things out of the DC universe.
Is it Brock Lesnar? Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I heard a thing. I wanted to be in the know for one, but it's fine.
And you aren't.
There is a whole other thing with Brock Lesnar and Vince McMahon that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, we don't need to go there. We don't need to go there.
Okay.
But did Brock Lesnar act in the DC universe? And I didn't know that.
No.
The Rock did act in the DC universe.
Yes, he did.
And The Rock continues to reveal himself to be really a steaming pile of shit. Just over and over and over again. Because the man fails at basically everything, but for some reason this country adores him so much for whatever reason. He fucked up a spring football league already, and they had to merge with the other one, his competition, because he took it over for 1 year and he failed. His stupid TV show Young Rock got canceled because it sucked because he failed. He killed Black Adam right away because he was such a pain in the ass, and they decided to redo almost the entire DC cinematic universe, partly because he sucks and failed.
Yeah.
The man fails over and over and over again, and now he's infested the one bubble that I got to be immune from him since I've been, I guess for like the last decade of wrestling. And now he's wormed his way back into wrestling because everyone seems to start to realize that he sucks and no one wants to put him in their fucking movies and no one wants him on their TV shows. So he came crawling back to where he first became famous, took a seat on the board of the new company that runs the WWE, and then stuck himself in the main event of the biggest pay-per-view of the year because his ego is so bruised from all of his failures.
Let me ask.
For some reason,
can I?
Yes.
Is there a chance? So he's on the board. Is there a chance that the board was like, "Oh my God, The Rock! Like this is a big story. We want him in," or do you think it was like with the DC universe where he's trying to strong arm all these things to happen? And
yes.
See, step one, you were correct for a little bit. Yes, it makes sense. The board wants him in. They want him to be recognizable. They're trying to use it to cloud a lot of the things that Chris was just talking about in terms of bad things the WWE has going on. I would have subscribed to your logic. Here's the catch. Their pay-per-views don't exist anymore. Everyone just gets the big show of the year in March or April, whatever month it is in now. And you don't have to pay for it. And the seats are already sold out for the most part. So they don't really need any help making more money. Sponsorship dollars might come in, but when he's getting $30 million, I believe they have to double their sponsorship money to make him worth it from last year's WrestleMania. So I don't even know how much more money they're going to make. Point being, I would have believed you until all the new reports basically are that he's bringing in his buddy who's like his personal writer who used to write for the WWE to maybe strong arm his way into running creative of WWE now, because again, he has nothing left, I suppose. So it's just a man with a gigantic ego that we let play himself in movies over and over and over again. And a bunch of people in this country were like, oh, this is funny and this is enjoyable. And now he's ruining the thing I like, and I want him to fuck off.
I want to interrupt briefly, only to say that we may lose power. I think it just blinked out ever so briefly, but because I have the backup, everything seems fine. If Sean's still seeing things, internet's still up, Cody talked fine through, but it did blink out just briefly. So if the show just ends abruptly, that's why.
That's all.
I can only
That's
stop,
all, folks.
I can only stop so many devices from losing power, and ultimately the internet could go. So, anyways, just to put that out there. To Cody's point, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because on the one hand, people were excited because it's The Rock, and everybody loved The Rock back when he was like huge in wrestling back in the 2000-ish time because like he was unlike something we'd ever seen before. He was so charismatic. He came up with all these catchphrases and witty remarks and stuff on the spot. He was also pretty good in the ring. All those things mattered. But now that he's sort of inflated in more ways than one, ego-wise, body-wise, whatever, and he's coming back to, I don't want to go super into the details on it, but Cody has sort of skipped the fact that this main event is between Roman Reigns, who's also an actor now, who's been champion for 1,000+ days, so it means something if he's going to lose at the biggest event of the year, and a guy who was kind of shit on the first time he was at the company, went around the world a bit, came back, lost last year, supposedly to build towards this last big moment this year, and now The Rock is undermining all of that. So it's not just taking a spot, it's like throwing out 700+ days of long-term storytelling just to appease the whims of a madman.
Yeah, and you look at his box office, and I'm trying to think like, there was, Peter earlier said, Doug, you took my point right out of my mouth, which is great. Peter earlier was like, yeah, he just has a really good PR team. I think that's part of it because you look at the movies that he was really big in. He was in Fast 5. He is not the reason Fast 5 was great. I will die on the hill that Fast 5 is just a legitimately awesome action movie. He added to it, but I didn't go see the movie because of him. Moana is a great example of just a really good movie. I don't know if I realized he was the voice. I mean, maybe I heard it eventually, but going to see it, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go see Rock's voice. So, a lot of people are like, he's just box office gold. I'm like, maybe he's just good at choosing movies, but he has not sold a movie to me yet.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. It's not like I'd be like, well, The Rock's in it, so I better go see it. I mean, there were some people. I think Tom Hanks was like an example of that. It's like Tom Hanks in the movie, it's probably going to be pretty good. The Rock is not that. The Rock is kind of like just the panacea of like, hey, this fits in for people who want to have like a safe movie almost. Like, I'm going to try to appeal to the everyman.
Yeah. And Skyscraper. That maybe was the only movie where I was like, well, he's in it, so maybe we'll check it out. And it was bad. And I did not like it. And he fucking jumps from the crane. I was like, why does he have superpowers in every movie? Have we? Well, I know the answer, but that's weird.
He's just Superman. Duh.
I will never forget when he just breaks the cuffs in whatever fast movie it was. He's just like, yeah, I could have done this anytime.
7,
and just
8.
breaks him.
And I liked him in Jumanji, but I didn't see Jumanji because of him. I kind of just like everybody in Jumanji. That's got to be especially difficult for Cody because he hates 2 of the main people in Jumanji.
I actually really liked Kevin Hart and Jack Black in Jumanji. Those are probably... And then when I found out Karen What's-Her-Face was the bald chick... God, my name...
The bald chick?
Karen
the bald chick.
Gillian?
Nebula.
Karen Gillan,
Nebula.
Yeah, Nebula. I was like, oh, she's cool. So...
I actually hate 3 people in Jumanji because I do not like Kevin Hart either. So it's really not a movie for me.
Have you considered maybe you don't like actors, like in general?
No, legitimately, that's probably like a top, like 3 of the top 5 actors I really hate. They all managed to get in a movie together.
You know what, Peter?
Throw Bradley Cooper in that and Mark Ruffalo, and I have a whole group of people.
Bradley Cooper's cool though. So Peter's saying part of his contract says he's not allowed to lose a fight. I wonder if that is true or if that is new. Because he loses a fight in Fast 5 to Vin Diesel, which you're like, there's no fucking way. Talk about 2 egos too. You're in my movie, so I'm gonna win our fight. It's so stupid, but he does lose that fight.
I mean,
to be fair, that's part of the problem with Shazam, right? Like with him, Black Adam and Shazam, is he like refused to be a part of any of that stuff because of that like.
No, I don't know if that's the stated reason, but you have to imagine it's not like a hard leap to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I want to lose fights all the time if I was in movies because that's, Rocky is not interesting because he never loses a fight. He's more interesting because he does lose, and then it's like, oh, how's he gonna come back? How's he gonna win this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can argue that like Dragon Ball Z and a few other shonen anime should do more of that.
Yeah,
some of their protagonists are they went almost too often to where it becomes perfunctory, and you're like, yeah, but wrestling, like a lot of stories, are about overcoming. It's about facing the odds and then superseding whatever's stopping you from doing it, and that's the cool part. That's what you celebrate. Wow, you overcame everything. If you win every step along the way, what did you overcome?
Yeah,
tedium?
Exactly. Dave, there's a trope started in Star Trek, which I'm sure is a sentence that applies to many things. But there's one where a new enemy shows up and takes out the guy with the wrinkled head.
Or Worf, yes.
Worf. And it's like something about defeating Worf is the name of the trope. And it's like when an enemy comes, they mean business if they come in and beat the shit out of Worf, which unfortunately means he actually gets his ass beat kind of a lot.
Yep.
For being supposedly so powerful, but it's because he is the device to show, oh, this enemy means business. They just took out Worf.
So the best, I have a good example of that in the show, actually. The best example of the show of this, possibly. The character Deanna Troi, very small woman on there, got taken over by an alien in one, like an alien entity got taken over. So Worf sees her being taken over, so he rushes at her and she just grabs his wrist and just snaps it and throws him aside. And it's like, perfect. This is exactly what the meme is.
Yeah, exactly. And so crazy. You just remind me of Dragon Ball Z and losing fights and people come in and that it when an enemy comes in and beats the shit out of Goku and Vegeta, you're like, holy shit. Yep. But it started with Worf, so I wanted to give Dave some credit because I knew he would know that one.
and I had an example ready and raring to go.
Yeah, exactly. So Chris, you must have a hate thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit timely because there's a few different things that have come up over the span of the last 3 months that would have made for good things for this segment, but a couple of them have gone by so much that it's not worth it. And one of them is Taylor Swift related, but we just talked about it recently. So the other one is, maybe it's because we are older now, but I don't really understand the point of being a console diehard in 2024. We're seeing that in light of the news that's coming out from Xbox now, where it's like, are they even going to do a console next gen? We're not sure. They're going to announce something next week. Are they just going to become a games publisher? We don't know, and blah, blah, blah. And as Sean has talked about on the show before, console exclusivity has almost gotten to the point where it doesn't matter anymore, particularly between Xbox and PlayStation. Obviously, the Switch still gets plenty of first-party Nintendo titles that the other developers would love to have on their systems, but won't. But besides that, there's only a handful of games each year, literally, that are on each system exclusively. And even then, some of those are timed exclusives, so like Horizon is now starting to sneak its way out into other platforms, right? So you're seeing people who are both really for and against this, and just like, oh, this just shows that Microsoft's going to adapt to whatever it takes, and this just shows that Microsoft fucking sucks, and they have all along. And I'm like, why are we wasting breath on this in the year of our Lord 2024?
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
I think it's weird because if we're going to have a console wars, if we're going to have different consoles, just period, I kind of almost want there to be exclusivity, because otherwise, why am I buying these separate consoles? But really, the truth is, no, don't do that. And is a good thing if there's not exclusivity. People can just buy the consoles that they like. In my case, it's going to be the PlayStation, because that's what runs the best. It has the best controllers. That is the best features. It does have the best exclusives, yes. And then the Switch for the portability. And I can stop buying Xbox. And this will become as a surprise for anybody who cares at all about my history with games and what a diehard Xbox person I was. I will not be buying the next Xbox version, barring some unforeseen thing that is not present today. I'm done. There's no reason.
It's really funny hearing you say that after the whole, the tons of evidence we have out here that shows Sean being a Microsoft fanboy for years and years and years and years. The only problem I have with this as we go forward is the fact of competition is really necessary, I think, to make sure we have innovation. And so if you remove that competition, that's where I get worried. Yeah, gaming developers will be out there, but are we going to have console, leaps forward? Are we going to have innovation through the consoles? Will Sony need to, if their only competition is Nintendo, which is competition, but not in the same realm that Xbox always was?
I think you're right to an extent, but I guess my counter argument would be Nintendo on portable. Because was the Vita really competition for the 3DS?
No.
Not really. The Vita had a decent install base, but it also died a pretty miserable death earlier than expected. And by proxy, same idea with the PSP. Not like they didn't sell or they were failed systems or anything, but by the end of the 3DS's lifespan, it was basically on its own for 3 years or so, and still continuing to put out bangers. So I think, if anything, it's more of a question of like, which developers survive and are the ones those consoles are based on, because that's what's going to drive the games that are on it. So if it's Nintendo still in the mix, whether that's another Switch, another portable dock hybrid, whatever, they'll probably continue to be respectable enough that if Sony's still in the game, they're going to have to do some things with them in mind. But the direct competitors, it doesn't even make sense anymore. To Sean's point, like, Steam has PC locked up. Yes, there are other things on computer like Origin or whatever the hell else, right? And Microsoft looks at that and they go, well, Game Pass kind of works for that in addition to Xbox. So if you're just going to do that, or you're going to play it on a Steam Deck like Sean has, what do you need a Microsoft console for anymore? So hopefully it's just an evolution of eliminating some things that aren't necessary. You could be right. It could be that the lack of competition makes people get lazy, but I don't think we're going to head that way yet.
And the other thing, Dave, I would say is, like, I would look at movies. It's wait, I want to read this.
Read it aloud for our audio listeners.
Part of the reason I don't buy consoles is because there's too much choice with the exclusivity. If Xbox does stop, it's more of a reason to finally pick up the PS5, which is totally true.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to look at movies. Chris, I wrote this article one time back in the newspaper. I had a column, everyone. I had a gaming column. It was pretty cool.
Whoa.
I just wrote that,
Fucking
why
nerd.
are we doing console whatever? Like, movies, you have movies and they play on a Blu-ray player, and all of them play on a Blu-ray player. And there have been blips throughout history of DVD versus whatever, Betamax, and then
HD DVD.
HD DVD was the newer one with Blu-ray. But overall, you get a movie, it's going to play on a thing that it plays all the movies. Everybody has it. And so it's just weird sometimes that the console is like, well, and I'm experiencing this with fucking VR a lot. It's like I hear a new VR game come out and it's like for one of 4 or 5 consoles. And I'm like, but what about this one that I already own? It's like, no, that one doesn't have it. And then PlayStation VR is a bunch, but they don't have other ones that I'd want. So I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to enter until you guys figure this shit out. So, Dave, I think the competition could be one way that it goes, and it could also be this other way where maybe it's good for everybody, publishers included, who keep laying off thousands of employees, developers.
Yeah. Which Jaguar also said in chat, by the way.
Yeah.
We've seen a ton of layoffs in just the first month of this year. Like 3,000 plus in the industry. It's a huge number.
Yeah. So it could go either way. I mean, I think you're valid, but it's really interesting.
No, and it could. It's I think Jackrock's right in the sense that the model is broken, and that's where the issue is that, I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, the fact of we used to buy video games for regular Nintendo for $50 when it was brand new in the 90s. They're $70 now, which has not kept up at all with inflation. And yes, we've kind of worked it a little bit. So now there's a DLC that you can download. There's a lot of other methods in making money in games. But to put forth a great AAA title that has a great experience out of the box, that's not what's making studios money as much as it used to be, because now you've got the new Madden that comes out every year that makes way more money because you charge the same amount for the game and people buy $50 to $100 to $200 worth of VC for it all the time.
Yeah. And those are bad examples because they are like predatory. But then there are some games where, like, I forget what it was, but I forgot the game. It was a single player experience where they would have needed to sell 5 million copies to break even. And that's really hard. And everybody's like, I want the complete experience right out of the box, just like when I was a kid. And I'm like, well, the times change, man. Come on.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough to have.
Even Baldur's Gate, you're like, I want it right out of the box. Like, okay, well, had that been the case, you would have had a broken mess of a game. They are still patching it. They are still doing updates. Would you have wanted them to wait 15 years to release the game, or would you like to have it and have them kind of like make some updates?
And we know that they don't want to wait 15 years for it because Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Wait, that's a thing that doesn't exist yet, right?
Well, I mean, both that and Metroid Prime 4 made the mistake of just throwing a sizzle reel up just to be like, look, we know we're working on it. I don't know, shut up, and then not doing anything with it for 6+ years.
That almost pisses people off way more than otherwise.
Yeah, that it would have been better, especially in retrospect, looking back, just to be like, yeah, no, just say like, yeah, we know there's a lot of demand out there. We're working on it, but we don't really have anything to show you yet. As soon as we do, we'll be sure to let everybody know.
Yep. Well, so Dave, I'm grateful for my knees. I don't know what happened, if it was genetics or whatever, but I have good knees. I was playing basketball the other day and I landed like horrifically. I was like bumped in the air, and so I landed everything was gone. Now it's back. I landed like sideways with my leg locked out and like really jarring, like my whole body. I felt it like in my spine. So it was like sideways and down, and I jumped really high. So it's just so much force on my knee. And I was like, this is where my knee gets just blown out. And like, it was fine. And I was like, man, I have not so great ankles. My groin muscles are kind of suspect, but I have solid knees. And I was grateful for that. That's it.
Congratulations.
Just so you know, the grateful thing, this is where it spawned. The idea for the show was like, wow, my knee isn't shattered right now. I am grateful for good knees. And that's where I had the idea.
I don't know if you know this, but that was a pretty Dave-esque take.
Well, I mean, it's okay because I just want to acknowledge. People always complain about their bodies, like, "Oh, this sucks" or "That sucks," and I was like, you know what? I had a thing where it very easily could have gone super sideways, literally, and it didn't. It stayed. It's not a tangent, Doug. God damn it! It's what I'm grateful for. We said grateful and hateful.
We do have to bring in some grateful in this round. We all went for a hate.
That's what I'm saying.
We do have to circle back here. Hate. Maybe something less esoteric, but
I have another hate that I think people can.
Okay, great. We're going back.
All right.
I mean, I really hate.
Is it Sean?
No, I hate my knees. No, I'm kidding. So this is Suns related. But really it goes through everything. I hate people who try to be so I'm better than you on social media. And this comes down to the Suns because there's been rumors that the Suns want to try to acquire someone named Miles Bridges, who has a horrible history and for all accounts is a horrible human being, but a good basketball player. And there are people all over social media, on Twitter, on Reddit, whatever, saying like, I'm going to stop being a Suns fan if the Suns get him. It's awful. I don't want a wife beater on my team. And the more reasoned take is, well, he plays in the NBA. Therefore, if you watch the NBA, you are tangentially supporting him. Not that you support, the acts that he has done, but I've seen the take that basically, if you are not appalled by him and will stop and boycott the Suns if they get him, you therefore support domestic abuse. And it's like, the two are not equal here. This is a really shitty take, and I do not appreciate the black and white binary mentality. And this is, we've talked about this forever in our podcast, but it just drove me nuts seeing this type of stuff.
It's interesting of an idea of that he's playing in the NBA, and the NBA could, if they wanted to, try to enforce some sort of suspension or whatever, and they're not. So really, if you're watching any team, you are kind of supporting them. That's really funny. I kind of like that.
That's one of the ideas, though, and it's this complete slippery slope, and it's like, okay, but it's not my job to police players in the NBA, no matter how much of a bad actor they might be. The NBA's refusal to maybe take more drastic steps doesn't make me responsible for tuning off everything that's on. Like, if I'm flipping the channels and I see the NBA, I can't be like, oh, I gotta turn my TV off. Oh, shit. Miles Bridges might be on it. I don't know where he is. Like, I understand, and there are definitely some Suns fans who would be appalled by an acquisition of Miles Bridges, especially women who also like basketball, and that's not just like a non-existent contingent of fans. There's a sizable chunk of them that are women who, a lot of them I've seen on social media are like, yeah, you guys may not get this, but like, that's not for me. But to then throw something into an absolute is like, what do we what's the statute of limitations on that? Like, can I not watch the NFL because they fucked up the Ray Rice situation? It's been 10 years, but they butchered that back then. Am I still not allowed to be a fan? When can I be a fan?
Is every Mavericks fan in the wrong because Jason Kidd is the coach? I mean,
you're right. That is the obvious example. Yeah.
Like, can I watch baseball? Because, there's a few different people in the Hall of Fame who are just giant assholes. So, like, can I watch baseball in 2024? Can I see how Shohei looks on the Dodgers because Rod Carew was a fucking racist? Like, I don't know. I don't know where we have to draw the line on it.
Yeah, and I think, like...
See,
Go ahead, Cody. Go ahead, Cody.
Yours is the harder struggle. One. Yeah,
you do it.
I just went through this struggle with the Dodgers like 2 years ago.
Trevor Bauer.
I got Trevor Bauer on my fucking team. And then I was like, this fucking sucks. I don't really want to watch this. Not only that, because all of his little bro-y fans were just all over the blog I write for. I'm like, this is fucking gross. Then he did a shitty thing, and he got suspended. And I'm like, wow, shit can actually get taken care of. But I'm like, it's just awkward to have to deal with that on your team when you're like, this guy's kind of not a good dude. And I mean, Bridges is you're even in a worse position because you're right. He hasn't been suspended. He'd be actively playing. And the Dodgers actually dumped Bauer and kicked him to the curb, way after the fact of that they never should have signed him. But it's a really uncomfortable gray area of like, what the fuck am I supposed to do as a fan?
Yeah.
I always try to, I'll say quick. I just try to say, I'm going to separate the art from the artist in this sense is that, yeah, there are some shitty people, but there is also things that they can do apart from that. And I can't be the moral police on everything. So separate the art from the artist and let the powers that be handle it where they need to.
Yeah, and to be clear, this isn't trying to soften the potential blow of if the Suns do happen to acquire Bridges. It has nothing to do with that or us trying to be Suns fans and walk it back later. It's more so like, if that is the last straw for you on an individual basis, then I don't blame you for jumping ship. I understand. And I don't think I will in that situation, but I'm also not like rooting for the acquisition because you can look at it from a basketball perspective and understand why they would be interested in something like that. It's the best talent you're going to get for what little the Suns have to offer, but there's a reason for that, and it's nothing to do with on the court. But to make a blanket statement about what fans can and cannot do based on some kind of moral judgment, I mean, Cody and I are the wrestling fans. We talked about the Chris Benoit situation. The artist thing is hard to do sometimes. But it should be up to the individual to make that call, not somebody else.
Yeah. Am I going to go buy a Miles Bridges jersey? I mean, no. But
they probably shouldn't sell them.
Are stupid.
And they should definitely not put 25 on it.
No, that would be the worst. So anyway, the thing that just infuriated me the most is if you support him, therefore you support this. And I could fill in that in many different things. Is that black and white if then statement when there is so much room in between those statements? I don't know why people have such a hard time thinking that way. It makes no sense to me.
Well, we talked about it with Harry Potter just earlier last year.
That's true. That's a good point.
So,
I mean, if you support Harry Potter at all or play Hogwarts Legacy, therefore you're anti-trans. It's like, hold on. Wait a second.
But now I want to incite some drama because I feel like Cody is in the camp of like, yeah, I think I can condemn you for liking it. I feel like I don't remember what now, but it's like, yeah. If you like this person, there is a blanket statement, and you do suck.
Probably in a way. I'm not going to say like you have to stop being a Suns fan if they trade for this dude. Again, I didn't stop being a Dodgers fan. I just stepped back where I'm like, I'm not going to make this a priority of my like life at that point. I'm like, it's a little uncomfortable. I definitely didn't want to fucking watch games that he pitched. I went to a fucking Dodger game, and he happened to be the starting fucking pitcher of the one game in LA I went to the year he was pitching for the team, and 2 months later he wasn't on there. And I'm like, well, fuck, am I going to sell the tickets and not go to the one game I drove out to LA for? No. I went, and I booed his ass every time he was pitching for my own team. And I felt pretty satisfied with that. It's tricky. I mean, the Hogwarts thing's even weirder because it's like you go. That's a lot of steps forward. I'm like, I kind of wanted to play the game. I didn't buy it. I felt a little uncomfortable about supporting a bunch of Harry Potter stuff with that. But I'm also not like everyone in the world is a terrible person. I'm not on Twitter tweeting how fucking dare you support this because there's just way too much energy spent doing that. Honestly, from the people who get really high and mighty about it, as Dave was just starting out pointing this all out.
I mean, it just comes down to you can't be the judge of that. Like, am I supporting? Am I saying that I'm like, yeah, I got to give this, or am I disparaging anyone who might feel uncomfortable with it? No, not by any means. If you do and want to stop that, great. Like that's your choice, and I have no problem with that. But also, like, you can't place judgment on others. That's my whole point.
Yeah, and
if you really wanted to play that game in our society, you're going to have a lot of problems with every company you indirectly support by the things you buy things from.
Be real tough.
Yeah. All major corporations, for example, probably have a lot of skeletons in those closets. So I guess you got to go hunt your own animals, except you can't do that because Pete will be mad at you. So you're just fucked. You just have to die.
Well,
grow your own.
And the tricky part, by the way, is like we mentioned this back then, but with Hogwarts Legacy, like for all the bad that J.K. Rowling has done, the world of Harry Potter has done a lot of good things for a lot of people, including some of those marginalized groups that she hates. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, Miles Bridges changed my life. When he drives to the rim, my heart swells with joy, and I'm uplifted out of the dregs of my life. I'm sure that I don't think that actually happened. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different just because it's like, yeah, he had domestic violence incidents, and nobody's really like, oh man, but that undoes all the good he did as a basketball player dribbling. But the parallel still works. It's just a little bit different because at least on the Hogwarts stuff, you can be like, all right, now what do you do? Especially if you're one of those marginalized groups, do you engage in the franchise because the creator is a piece of shit? But then like you loved it and it gave you something to like live for and strive for. A lot harder there.
Well, Good Place had such a good bit on this, and it was like in 1400s, you go, you pick flowers for your mom, you get 25 good points. Now you bring flowers for your mom, you end up in the negative because you're getting flowers that were like unethically sourced and they were transported unethically, and like all this stuff is like you're in the negative for doing something you thought was good, and it's complicated for sure.
I think that comes down to that. I like the example of the Good Place because it's everything in that case is transactional, and it kind of points out the ridiculousness of everything being transactional in life. I can't imagine a friendship, for example, where every single thing you ever do, you like keep a scorecard on. It's like, well, this time I bought you lunch, so therefore you must make sure that I buy the exact same food next time because we have to be even in everything. You know, life isn't transactional. I feel like there are so many good push and pull things that come in that you just can't keep a score like that. So you just kind of got to make the best decisions with what you've got in front of you.
Yeah, I know those people. Chris, you maybe know someone like this too. Maybe. Just maybe.
Who's that? It's not me. It's not me.
No, it's not you. If it was you, I wouldn't be saying it right now. I'd be texting Chris.
Or he would just say it to your face.
Or I'd say it to your face. No, what good friends you all are. Look at me being grateful again. I'm grateful for such great friends.
Man, you are
don't make it like the old round. Peter says, "Is it me?" No, it is not you, Peter.
No, I know you're listening. I wouldn't either.
Doug, you ask next. Maisie, ask after that.
Yeah, well, we got to narrow it down. It's got to be somebody.
No, it's no one that's here.
The call was coming from inside the house.
It's someone
it's
who.
Cody. Oh my God. There you go.
Thanks,
Doug.
You're fucking playing guess. You're playing Guess Who, trying to figure out who the fuck.
No,
this
Dave.
friend is.
It is in fact someone who decided that it was not even, and so they're gone. So they're not going to. No, Peter.
Yeah, put him up. We put Peter on blast. We do need to get one thing of gratitude from Cody and then myself.
Okay.
It's only fair.
I don't have anything to be grateful for. I'm the grumpiest person.
You're like getting married in like a few months.
It's not supposed to be transactional. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't mean you can't be grateful for
in a
it.
transactional society.
I'm just imagining Cody at the altar being like, "Well, I do, but only if she does."
I guess. Yeah, like if
that's
you're
actually true though.
let me. Is there a way that we can do this and I don't have to? If we can do this and I don't have to say yes, I will. But if I have to, then fine.
I already said yes. I asked her.
Why do I have to do it
again? Okay. Well, Cody has no glad.
No grateful. Nothing.
Nothing.
No grateful.
Raya, no.
Nothing.
Yeah, Josh, you came in at an awkward time. Everyone's fighting with each other, and somebody who's in the show, in the chat, or on the broadcast is a transactional friend. So,
could it be you?
Could it be you?
I don't know. Everybody else thinks it's them.
Did I have a gratitude?
No, you didn't.
No,
one's had a
you circled
gratitude
back
but fucking me so far.
As I tried to transition to other gratitude, you went to a second hatred, so you threw off.
It bothered me.
You ruined the second segue of this show.
I had 2 gratefuls already. My niece and my friends. Look at me.
Okay, I'm grateful for my children and watching them play sports.
Okay, sports is cool though. Children, that's
really cool.
That's not enough. But being like, actually, they're like their own people now, and they're playing sports. That's cool.
I have all 3 of my children playing some sort of baseball/t-ball/softball coming up, and it is going to be actually really cool, even though it'll be stressful trying to get them everywhere. I'm actually really looking forward to it.
It's too bad that those are the sports, because I don't like any of those, but it's still cool that they're... I would not be like, kids, you're not playing this sport, because I don't like it.
It seems that so far my oldest 2, those are the best. They're the best at it, because my middle son is just not. Thanks, Peter. That's Sean. Sports are cool, not the kids.
Yeah.
It seems that that's what my kids are best at, though, because my son and daughter are not good at basketball in any way, shape, or form, and that's okay. It's just not their sport. It's okay.
Yeah.
Play what you're good at. You're gonna have way more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that's exactly where I am.
Make them play shit that they're bad at.
See, play what I'm good at, and then I can help you more. That's what I'm going to do.
I tried.
My kids, I'm going to lock them in the basketball court until they are good. I don't care if they like it.
My middle son is a lefty with a really good arm. I'm like, baseball seems up your alley then there.
No.
So here we go.
Can I also be grateful for friends, but back it up with a story so it's a little less lame?
Yes.
Well, that would imply mine was lame, and mine was really cool.
It was.
It very much was lame.
It was very Dave-esque, and I'm sort of confused by the dynamic change, but
yeah.
It's flipped completely.
It's fine. It's fine. Peter says your kids sound delightful.
Thank you.
If only
Look
you
at
knew.
all this positivity. You're welcome.
You knew.
You're fucking welcome for bringing all this positivity into the show. Fuck you.
In speaking of transactional friends, we just saw a friend of the show, Gary, when we were in LA for that trip last weekend, which, by the way, good thing it was last weekend and not like this most recent weekend, because everything went to shit in California with the storm that has now made its way to us.
Yep.
So, but one of the things that was cool, and I said this to him, and I hope he took it the right way, I think he did, was like, I'm not super close to Gary, and I wasn't really when he was here, and I certainly am not now ever since he's moved, because I barely see him. I see him like once every couple years. But I appreciate the fact that I have people like him in my life where I can pick it up like nothing happened. Like, we can have a full-on conversation, and I still am invested in how he and his wife are doing. Like, we don't catch up regularly, but I like having friends like him in my life that I don't there are some people like y'all and others that are connected to us that I'm super close with, and I make a point of like, all right, we got to check in every so often. We got to like do a thing together. And there are others that it's just not going to be, there's not going to be time for, but I respect the fact that he and I can still just pick it up like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It feels like those are the best. I feel like those are the best because there is so little effort needed, but you almost want to put more effort for when that happens because you feel that connection.
And this is actually one that Peter is an example of, so now I do get to put him on blast. For years, the only time we talked, this was like pre like cell phones, or at least pre when I had a cell phone. Literally, he and his brother come for the summer. It's like nothing ever happened, and then they leave. I don't talk to them all year again until the next summer, and then we just like pick it right back up. And that's great. And it set up a really nice template, like for these days, if it goes a couple months or whatever, where we don't get to hang out, especially with his brother, because he's kind of notoriously hard to get a hold of. But when we do get to spend time together, it's awesome. And it's really great to have.
I suppose Andy falls into this category too, because I see him about once a year. And again, we just pick up like there was no time in between, but it's not a guy I really check in with in between. If anything, he does a better job of that than I do. But
yeah,
I think those relationships are important because you don't have time for everyone and everything in your life. So the fact that some people are cool with that, if it's not your thing, that's also not like an indictment. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, in general, I appreciate those type of friendships because I think it fills a nice gap.
Yep, that is what the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like, just you wait. I got new strategies. Yeah, I was going to say, Peter was probably like, God, I was trying to ditch Sean every year, but he just kept coming back. Like a
son of a bitch just kept coming.
Yeah, but that is fun. Now Gary's not a transactional friend though. To make it very clear, he's great.
No, he paid me back on Venmo right away.
He listened to my Type 5, which was great. He had a lot of good feedback. Mostly, this is not funny, and I think you're gonna struggle. Chris and Doug were there too, and they agreed. So it was great.
Well, it didn't help that you only had one joke for your Type 5.
And I didn't even tell it. I was like, I think this is what it's going to kind of be about. What do you think?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Type 5 being a stand-up set. 5 minutes.
It's like, here's my stand-up bit, and I'm ready, I think. Or I'm close.
Well, that's the end of this episode. Some gratitude, some attitude. Another rhyming set.
There we go.
I stole it from Jimmy Buffett. So... next week should be the game show that was originally going to be this week, so please tune in for that. I won't probably be popping up as much live chat on the screen because we want you to answer, and of course, we don't want them to see the answers, but I'll still do that on occasion. Yeah, I had to pop it up there so everyone gets it right. There's no score separation. I will try to when I can, but of course, I'm also going to be running the whole game show. But, you know, in general, we're trying to keep the chat on the screen, keep everybody engaged. We appreciate people tuning into the live feed. If you're on the podcast, I keep pitching it. But as usual, you can join us 9 p.m. Arizona time for about another month. Then it's still going to be that Arizona time. It's everybody else who's watching live who's going to change fucking daylight savings time.
Do you mean 8 p.m.?
Yeah, 8 p.m. Sure.
Just checking.
See, Chris is trying to ditch everybody. He's like, show up at 9. So you don't have to interact with us, you fucks.
That's right. Don't have to put any message on the screen. It's much easier for me.
There you go.
But yeah, tune in live because that's where you can participate. You can be part of the show. We're even going to have you on the screen. So, like, join us. It's fun.
I like it so much because I can see, even in the old day, I had to really, it was hard to read. I had to really squint, and then when we went for a period, I couldn't see it at all. So now it's just like huge. It covers Cody, so like doubly good for me. It's great.
Well, normally it would cover Dave, but Dave's over there on the right because I made room for Cody over here, and just that's the way it happened to go. So. See,
that's what I mean, Cody. It covers when you shake your head at me. It's perfect. You're disapproving just shakes.
No, here, we can take care of it. We can just do that. It's fine.
There you go. That's much better.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, everybody. So that's the end of the episode. In between shows, you can find us on our website, objectionnetwork.com or youtube.com/objectionnetwork. That's where you can watch this show live. We appreciate everybody out there. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.